Hey guys, it's Anne, and we are back with another interview with somebody from our community who does so many great things. And most of you, a lot of you know her. Her name's AliceAnne Loftus, and she is with Leading Ladies. I'm going to introduce her in just a minute, but I wanted to bring something up because this has come to mind for me recently. Yesterday, a person who works in the comptroller's office made a really stupid comment on a post about the protest downtown Annapolis. And no matter what you think about it, I think you can probably, even if you want to talk politics, even if you're like, I'm going to talk politics no matter what, I think it's good to always try to do it in a positive way. So he could have said, I absolutely don't agree with what they're saying. They have a right to protest, whatever he wants to do. Instead, basically said, they're an idiot. I think they should not. I think they shouldn't be, I know exactly what he said. I think they shouldn't be allowed to be seen. They should be seen last if they get coronavirus. They should be seen last at the hospital and their insurance should be denied. It was such a stupid thing to say. And I'm telling you this as my tip of the day because I want to remind you to please, please, please think about what you say when you're on social media. And it's not just what you post. It is also what you comment, because people will figure out who you work for and what you do. And this can come back to bite you. I had another client a couple months ago call me and say, oh my God, you're not going to believe what one of our employees said. And now I don't know what to do because we've been called out as part of it. She said something really dumb and somebody said, hey, she works at Brennan Title. Do you guys want to let her do that? That was horrible. So please be careful what you say. All right. YouTube, I want to remind you, this is going live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And I would really love it if you guys could please, please, please go over there and subscribe. My YouTube is youtube.com/BrennanAnnie. And it's super easy. Just hit the subscribe button and you'll make me happy. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to our guest. We have AliceAnne Loftus today. So AliceAnne, can you tell them, you do so much. You own a business, you run this, you're a leadership coach, and you run the Leading Ladies Facebook group. So Tell us a little bit about all of that.
Well, I have been an entrepreneur for 16 years. I opened my first childcare center when I was pregnant with my daughter, and really took my background as an educator and the heart of a new mom and put it together to build this business that has been really a blessing and a joy in our life. I was able to raise my kids while having a career and still be with them every day. So I've done that for 16 years. And I found that even though I don't have a background in business management, being an entrepreneur, you had to learn very quickly. And I learned that I love business. So I went back to school and became a certified professional coach. I specialize in small business and leadership. And I've been doing that for a little over 3 years. So I started a Facebook community called the Leading Ladies. Working from home, I have a teenager.
I see that. Hi, Marissa.
Yeah, so I started this Facebook community. We're over 4,500 members now of women in leadership, whether they are leading themselves, their small business, their families, their potential leaders or aspiring leaders. It's just a really great community to connect with other women in leadership roles.
You know, and it makes total sense. When I saw that you were studying for the positive psychology, you were taking the positive psychology course, it made total sense to me because you have to be one of the most positive people and you have such belief in people, which is amazing to see. And I want to tell you your story of buying and starting the preschool when you did is my favorite story of badassery. I tell people about it. Oh, I tell people about it all the time. I think women are amazing. I think women really are, they run their business, they run their homes, they do so much. And still a lot of times they're able, not all the time, but still they're able to take care of themselves. So let's talk about a little bit about positive psychology, but the positive mindset.
Sure. So this year I became a positive psychology practitioner. And I appreciate that you say I'm such a positive person. And I want to emphasize that being positive doesn't mean always being happy. It
Yes.
just means that you that you can see the big picture, and that you can put things in perspective, and that you focus on what's going well in your life and build off that. So I went back and I got certified in positive psychology with my niche as a leadership coach. I took what I learned in positive psychology and applied it to leadership and created this positive leadership program that I'm doing. So starting with positive mindset. So basically, let me back up. Positive psychology focuses on something called the PERMA V model. So PERMA stands for positivity, engagement, relationships, meaning, vitality, or achievement and vitality. So when you take those pieces that make up positive psychology and apply it to leadership, I actually can help leaders change their mindset and use strategies and interventions to really not only be effective in leading others, but in leading themselves.
I think it's great. I only learned about positive psychology a couple of years ago, but I think it is. I read a lot about it. Which I just think it's a really great way to lead your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny. I was thinking, are there ways? How do I use that in my life? And do I use it? And one of the things I thought is how I learn. Right?
Mm-hmm.
How am I learning? And the biggest thing, I think probably the biggest lesson I learned in this business is when we first started. I can't remember for the life of me exactly what happened, except that somehow I lost $500, and I was a new business, and $500 seemed like a lot. It was a lot, and I was like,
"Oh my God, $500 is a lot.
$500 is a lot," and I was like, "Oh my God!" And my first reaction was, "Oh my God!" And my second reaction was like, "Bet I never do that again."
Yeah.
Bet I never make that mistake again.
That plays into the mindset. To have a positive mindset, you can look at every situation around you and you can either judge it,
right,
or you can learn from it. Right. And just that simple switch of saying, what can I learn from this, allows you to shift into that positive mindset.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. So we have a lot of people in here actually interested in a lot of leading ladies, which is not a surprise, right? So, all right. Let's talk a little bit about engagement.
So part of positive psychology and positive leadership is knowing how to engage your own personal strengths and core values. So as you are stepping into that leadership role, and if you really want to be an effective, positive leader, you have to understand what your strengths are. And you can do that via character strengths. There's different assessments, or Myers-Briggs, or there's so many different tools out there for you to learn about yourself and what you're really good at. And something I love about positive psychology is that it focuses on your strengths and how you can show up in your life as your best self, engaged in the things that you're good at, tapping into the things that you're naturally good at.
Right.
And how you can empower yourself to move forward with purpose and intention using those strengths. And so that's really the engagement piece there.
Yeah. In our office, it's funny because we do, we actually, as a matter of fact, we just hired somebody, and I don't know if Anastasia has scheduled this for her, but we take the Enneagram. So just another test. Mm-hmm. But it has been interesting to watch how different we all are, but how overlapping as well. Yeah. Interestingly, I definitely am excited about seeing how Whitney tests on this, because so far, 3 of us, our top score is achievement. Mm-hmm. The second, which is very close, they're both, the numbers are pretty close. The second is different for each of us, but that top one is achievement, which is good in some ways, but also makes for a very competitive office.
Yeah. One of my top strengths is appreciation of excellence and beauty. And I used to think that because I was such a perfectionist, I would almost dumb it down a little bit. Like I would be like, that doesn't really bother me. And then I would go back and fix it without
Yes,
looking. And once I embraced, you know what? No, that's actually a strength of mine that helps me be detail oriented. I put out quality work. Once I embraced that strength that I had, instead of trying to hide it, I was really able to engage in my life and in the things that I was doing in a positive way, and
yeah.
feeling proud of myself.
Yeah, I think I put this up on Facebook a while ago and said that I thought I had a real character flaw and that I do things very quickly. I make decisions very quickly.
Mhm.
And then I talked to another business owner, a guy, and actually he says, how is it? You started this business 4 years ago. How are you where you are? And I'm where I am. And I'm like, oh, I think it's because I don't think about what I do before I jump.
Yeah.
And that was good.
Yeah, it takes all kinds of people to make the world go round. So just because I'm different than you or you're different than me, it doesn't mean that we're doing it wrong. We're doing our life as best as we can. And so we really need to engage our strengths.
Exactly. Before we move on, we're going to talk about relationships and how important they are and what we do. But before we go on, I want to remind you, if you have questions, if you want to make a comment about your business and how you're applying these things to your business, let us know. We can answer you. We can pull you right up on the screen and not you personally, but your comment right up on the screen and give you an answer. So, all right. So tell me a little bit about relationships.
Oh, relationships are so important. And I was honored to be able to interview you yesterday and kind of talk about your role as a connector. The whole premise behind positive psychology is that other people matter. And so whether it's personal or professional, when we put value into our relationships and when we have healthy, positive relationships, we flourish. So, you can read the Success Principles book by Jack Canfield, or if you listen to any other success coach or leadership coach, they will tell you to surround yourself with positive people and to invest in relationships that feel good and that everyone benefits from that. So it's important in your relationships to look at who you're surrounding yourself with. Do people bring sunshine to your life? Do people encourage you to be the best version of yourself? And do you encourage people around you? To be their best selves? Do you give them space to be who they are? Do you celebrate them? And so people are often surprised to hear that a better indicator of a positive relationship or a healthy relationship is how people take good news from you. Oftentimes we think that a real friend or a good relationship, they're there for you in the hard times, right?
Right.
And that's really important. But pay attention to who's there for you in the good times too. Who's clapping for your success and who you genuinely and authentically feel happy when you see them succeed. That's actually the better indicator of a healthy relationship.
That's really interesting. It's going to totally change the way I look at things.
Totally. So you think about it. If I came to you and I said, Anne, something terrible happened to me. And let's say you didn't know me very well. And I said, something terrible happened to me. Your heart would immediately feel sympathy. Like, it's sad to hear a story, right?
Right.
But you think about these times of COVID-19 and everybody's like traumatized and it's just a lot of stress going on. And so somebody comes to you and says, this is the best time of my life. My business is totally thriving. I feel like on top of the world. And maybe your business is failing. Maybe you're not on top of the world.
Right.
It's going to be really hard for you to be happy for that person. But in positive psychology and in positive leadership, we learn how to have compassion for others and to celebrate their happy. Something that I teach or work with my clients is how to stretch happy or share happy, to take someone's happiness and encourage them to really be in that moment and share it with you.
I love that. Stretch happiness. I'm gonna, as
Right.
soon as I put you on the screen all by yourself, I'm going back to put the note down. That's what I do is I'm like, when I'm not on the screen, I'm taking notes. All right. What about achievements?
Achievements. I love this. So also one of my top strengths is achievements. As you know, I am a chronic overachiever. I'm a recovering overachiever. And recently I was doing an interview where someone was asking me my accomplishments, like what I felt were my greatest accomplishments. And, if I had answered that question 10 years ago, I would have said many different things. I would have said, all the degrees that I have and certificates that I hold and athletic things that I've accomplished. But when I think of achievements now, I measure it differently. And I think when you are a positive leader, you track your goals differently. You start to really make sure that your core values align with your achievements and that the things that you're doing and the things that you're giving your time to and that the goals that you're setting are really in line with who you are and what your priorities are and what your core values are. And so when we really look into positive leadership, we learn how to measure achievements and how to set goals and how to track how we're showing up in life if we're truly showing up in a way that makes us proud of ourselves.
I like that a lot. And it's interesting that you said that because I haven't been, I guess sort of been on my mind. We're moving. I think you know this. We're keeping the business here and I'm only 30 minutes down the road. But this is the community where I know everybody and everybody knows me because I'm out there and I've got a big personality. And so now I'm moving to Chevy Chase and I know nobody. I mean, literally not a single soul. And there's part of me that is concerned about that because how I measure success is in the relationships I've built. And so I'll still have success here, but will I feel success when I'm in my home? Will I feel success when I'm in my neighborhood? And so I've been working on introducing myself to people through social media, through, I joined our neighborhood group and things like that. But I think it's important to know that what makes you feel successful in your heart. In your heart. And for me, it's the relationships I build. So if I go into this neighborhood without friends and relationships and networking friends and referral partners, I'm going to have a hard time feeling successful in my own home. And I think I've got to keep that in mind when I do have my downtimes and, and people say, oh, you're so cheerful. And I'm like, not all the time. I try.
So I actually start every day with 3 questions, and I'm sure you've heard these questions, but this really helps me measure what my goals are and what it is that I want to achieve. And so I start every single morning by asking myself these 3 questions. Number 1, what is something that I can do today that is proactive towards my goals?
Okay. I'm writing it down.
Okay. Number 2 is what is something I can do today that will make me proud of myself?
Okay.
And number 3 is what is something I can purge that no longer serves me?
Ah.
Yeah. And that can be something tangible, like the bag of donations that's been in the mudroom for a month, or it can be, a negative thought that you're holding on to, or, a negative mind chatter or a belief in something that is not serving you. And that's oftentimes the hardest one is what do I need to let go?
Right.
Clutter in your mind, it takes up space and you need to let go of the things that do not serve you.
That's great. I love that. Now, this last one, I before you even start, I want to say something about it. We talk about health and we talk about self-care. And when I used to run Ironman, I had a schedule. It was what I did. And I would talk to people and they'd say, I run every day or I go to the gym every day. And these are people who I knew well and knew that they really didn't, but in their mind they did because they didn't track it. And which is a whole other thing. I don't care whether you do that anymore. I exercise a lot, but I don't exercise every day. It's a totally different achievement, I guess, in my mind, what I care about. But the self-care part, I was saying, oh yes, I do a lot of self-care. I take care of myself. And somebody said last week, what have you done this week to take care of yourself? And when I sat and tracked it, I went, oh my God, it's been a week since I did a single thing to take care of myself. And that, and that tracking is important. So tell me your thoughts on self-care, because that was one of those aha moments last week when he asked that question.
So this, I really look at self-care very similar to how I run my childcare businesses and what deep convictions and beliefs I have in how we raise children. It should be a very holistic approach in that we're making sure all of their needs are being met. Social, emotional, physical, cognitive. And when we do that, when we practice self-care in that holistic view, it isn't just about exercising every day. It's about making sure you're getting enough sleep, that you're drinking enough water, that you're moving your body, just moving. And exercise should be a reward. It should be a celebration of how your body moves and what it can do. There's a huge mindset that exercise is a punishment and that you have to suffer to feel good. And so in positive psychology, they talk about vitality. And so what makes you feel alive? And what do you need to give your body to live at its best? It needs water, nutritious foods, lots of nutrients. You need sunshine. You need, like I said, sleep. You need to have good thoughts. You need to allow yourself to rest, both physically and mentally. And so taking care of yourself, health and self-care is really a very holistic look at it, that it's more than just what size jeans you wear or what size dress you're in, but how are you loving your being?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. When he said that, I realized, oh my gosh, I don't think I've had a single glass of water. I've either had tea or I've had, a drink at dinner, right? I've either had my hot tea all day long, like 3 pots, or I've had that. So it is all those small things, but it was also the fact that I've usually made rules about at the end of the day, I rest, and I have basically worked 24/7, so it is important that you do that. And it is important that you pay attention to it.
Yeah.
So it's easy to go without that.
Yeah. And I think with so many of us working from home now, it's hard to break up the day. Like you said, we're probably working more hours than we realize, but it's interrupted work,
right.
Especially if we have kids at home or, you're distracted.
A DOG.
Yeah.
Which we can't say
right now. So we don't realize that we're not really breaking up our day. And in the Leading Ladies Facebook group yesterday, I posted a post. I said, if you're reading this, take a 15-minute break, get up, move your body, walk around, do something, because so many of us are in front of our screens all day long. And I had a client.
I listened to that, by the way. I did do that.
Great. I had a client tell me that she hasn't had time to work out and that she hasn't been exercising. And I said, well, what's your definition of exercise? And she said, to take a class, or, to do a 1-hour body pump class on the video, but I can't do that because everybody's home and it makes too much noise. And I said, is that the only way you could move your body? Is that the only? And she's like, no, I could go for a walk. I could, so sometimes it's removing the tunnel vision of what we think health and wellness looks like.
Right.
And just really listening to our bodies and hearing what it is that's telling us that we need.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So I want to go back for a minute because you talked about how you moved into coaching. And I remember you talking about this and talking about that there is a direct link between what you teach your kids at school and what parents aren't hearing. Do you remember that conversation?
Well, I know that everything I do always goes back to our future and our children. I can't help that. That is like written in my DNA. I am forever an educator. And so in working with children, in trying to teach resilience and problem solving and growth, positive growth, I was witnessing that a lot of parents didn't have that. And so I really wanted to give parents that support. But what connected with me the most were the moms. I get it. I was a young mom trying to build a business, trying to take care of myself, trying to raise children. You get really burnt out. And if you don't have the problem solving skills or the grit or the support, you're not showing up as your best self. And my whole life was falling apart. In 2008, when the market crashed and my business was struggling, I wasn't healthy, I was worn out. I really had to take a hard look at myself and say, what are you doing here, lady? Like, your life is falling apart. And I don't broadcast that a lot, but I think it's important to share that I'm not perfect. My marriage was failing. I was extremely overweight. I had a lot of turmoil in my life. And I looked at how we raise children or how we nurture children. And I said, I got to give myself some of that. I've got to take care of myself and make sure that I'm living as my best self and that I'm giving all of my needs. Put your oxygen mask on first. And I will say, when I changed the focus to living as my best self and showing up with my core values, not only did my personal life do a total 180 and flourish, but my business did as well. And so oftentimes when I'm coaching women entrepreneurs, they come to me with professional problems, but when we really get down to it, they're not taking care of themselves. And so we really do a lot of work on understanding your strengths, understanding your core values, setting purpose and intention in your actions. And
I wanted you to share that story because I personally believe that, and I had heard it. I'm actually really sick of it. The whole "what's your why?"
Yeah.
But I think I'm sick of it. But it is true. What is your motivation? What motivated you to do this? Right?
I just didn't want people to suffer the way that I did. It was like a switch that everything that I had worked for, everything that I had wanted in life, this family, my business, I could have lost it all.
Right.
Because I had lost myself and I was making really terrible choices. I wasn't awesome. I'll be honest. I wasn't a good friend. I wasn't a good wife. Or I wasn't thriving as a mom. And it took that hard look at myself to say, nobody's going to take care of you, AliceAnne. You got to get yourself together. And that's, so Curt Jackson.
Yeah, I'm about to pull that up because I have to tell you, this question almost made me cry because it's a man asking.
I know.
And I think that's really awesome. So he says, how do you get a woman to put herself first when they are too busy being a mom and trying to take care of everyone else?
So this doesn't win me a lot of brownie points with women. I'm going to be honest. I love being a mom. But being a mom does not define me. I am a woman, an individual first and foremost. And I think that that's a really important message to give my children too, that yes, I love them. They are the apple of my eye, but my world does not revolve around them. Right. And so it's about putting boundaries and honoring that you are a person, you are a whole, complete person without the label of being a mom or being a wife or being, so you have got to set those boundaries in and really honoring what you need first.
Yeah.
If it was wrong to put your oxygen mask on first, they wouldn't tell you to do it on an airplane, because you can't help other people if you're not getting what you need. So self-care is not selfish. It is necessary. And, I wouldn't be able to be there for my family or my business if I didn't take care of myself.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I have to, so you've been a business owner since you had kids. You've always been a business owner, is what they know.
My business is 10 days older than my daughter.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. And for me, so you know this, and not everybody knows this. I have two different sets of kids from the same husband. Just God gave me a bonus baby. So I had my older kids who are now almost 26, actually next week, 26, and then 24, and then Zane, who's about to be 14. And so my first two kids knew me. I started running marathons when they were babies. And they knew me as an athlete. And it was the sweetest thing, because as they were growing up, if one of their friends would get hurt, they'd say, "Oh, I'll get my mommy. She knows all about injuries," right? And that was really sweet. Well, Zane has known that, but then he's known me as a business owner. And so he's had that vision of me. And it does make a difference. I'm telling you this because Curt, I want you to understand that the woman in your life can have more and not be taken away from her kids. I've added to my children's lives by doing that.
You give more.
You give more.
Yeah. My children have seen me be someone who has goals and dreams and hobbies and friendships and a whole life that doesn't revolve around them. I mean, don't get me wrong. My kids are so important to me, and they're everything, but I'm so much more than.
Yeah. And I think if we can teach women, we can remind ourselves, I mean, I need reminding of this all the time. I deserve it.
I deserve it. I'm worth it.
I deserve it.
Yeah. And I hate the term mompreneur. I hate it. I ask women all the time. I'm like, are you a dadpreneur?
Yeah, exactly.
I am an entrepreneur. I am a person.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. So keep telling her she's worth it. Keep telling her she deserves it. Keep showing her what she means to you guys, but not just as a mom, but what she offers to you in what she does. Because Curt's wife she's got the coolest job. She started a business, and I don't know anybody. I actually have met a lot of entrepreneurs. I don't know anybody who does what she does. She's a vet tech, but she is a mobile vet tech. She actually can come to you and help you with your animals.
Tiffany Jackson?
Tiffany Jackson. So Curt Jackson. Lovely. I love her. So keep telling her she's worth it. Keep telling her she deserves it, because she does. And Curt, I have something to say. You deserve it too.
Yeah.
Right? I think we all deserve to take care of ourselves.
We are worthy of that. We are enough of that. We are responsible for taking care of ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This has been so much fun. I knew it would. I always love talking to you. It's really great. I have to tell you, the downside of the software is I have to take somebody off before I can put up the next banner. So let's tell people how they can get in touch with you and how they can get involved with Leading Ladies.
Yeah. So join my Facebook group. It's Leading Ladies with AliceAnne Loftus. Would love to have you as part of the group. Anne is an ambassador of the Leading Ladies.
I love it.
Contributes so much positive yumminess to our group. It's a really great place to be. You can connect with me at leadinglady-coaching.com. And I'm also on iTunes and Spotify. I've got the Leading Lady podcast.
Yes.
Great interview that went live today with my daughter and how she's doing adjusting to distance learning. So lots of great ways to connect with me.
I want to say that real quick. Tell them what you do every day, because every day you and your daughter do one thing and your husband and your son do a different thing to get yourself out of the house.
Yeah. So we get up and my husband has his own private office And so he and my son go to the office, and they do their work day there. And my daughter and I, we go to our summer cottage. It's just a few miles away, and we work here. So this is where I typically work on a regular basis anyway. So it's my office. But she comes here with me, and then we all meet back at home at regular dinner time, and it's really helped keep some level of normalcy for us.
Yeah, I love that you do that. That's why I wanted you to say it, because I actually, the funny thing is my husband's been working from home, but not really. He's been going to my office because I had already set up here at my desk. I actually don't mind it at all. I like it here. But he's been working at the office, and then it's pretty divided. So Anastasia sometimes has been there as well, which has been interesting. So she uses her private office as well. So
we all get up and leave the house at the same time we also had. So
I think it's great. I think it just adds some stability to this craziness. Yeah. So, all right. Tomorrow we have Lee Norwood from Annapolis College Consulting, and her message is, don't panic. Because a lot of parents are panicking. They're supposed to be doing college visits right now. They're supposed to be taking their kids there, and they're not going to be able to do that. And maybe they can see it in the summer, but most schools are closed during the summer, so it's not going to be that same. They're not going to get that same fill. They're also supposed to be taking SATs, and they can't do that right now. But she's got a good message. Don't panic. So please tune in, especially if you've got college, high school students who are looking at going to college in the next couple of years. She can answer your questions tomorrow. She'll be here. It's going to be great. AliceAnne, thank you so much. This was awesome. This was really a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.